Hi, boys and girls. Welcome to another episode of the Claywright Workshop. I want to try something rather difficult today. Difficult in that it's not difficult to make. It's really difficult to make in the amount of time that I've allotted. I'm going to teach you how to make a chicken pot. All right? This is a small chicken pot, and if I were an intelligent person, I would try to make a small one, okay? This is a large chicken pot. Now, chicken pots come in sizes because women are always telling me that size matters. So we have small, medium, and large. Matter of fact, my favorite person that said that was Henry Moore, the famous sculptor. He said there was a certain size for every piece of sculpture. Now, what I have here behind me, and I've been wanting to show you guys this anyway, these are just Tupperware bowls. And inside the Tupperware bowls, I've lined them with clay. I rolled out a big slab of clay, and then I placed it in the bowl. Now, what I'm going to do now, and this is so cool, I've been wanting to teach you guys this anyway. I'm going to score this top edge by using this fork. So I'm scoring it up, and I'm going to score the top edge of this pot here. And then I'm going to put slip between those two edges. All right, here comes my slip, just water. Water and clay together make slip, which is kind of like cement going between bricks. Do you know the ancient Romans were the ones that first used cement? All right, watch this. This is the coolest thing. You're going to love this. Are you ready? Now, I made these pots, I think about 2 days ago. And what I'm doing now, whether you can tell or not, and I'm lining up these bottom edges. All right, the bottom edges fit. Now, I've got a sheet of plastic in between the clay and the plastic pot. So watch. Off comes the pot. As Marie Antoinette says, off with their head. Now look at this. Off comes the sheet of plastic. All right? It looks like I'm pretty well lined up, everything considered. Now watch. I'm going to flip this bad boy over. Guess what? It didn't stick. Okay. Flip this bad boy over. Line it up again. Off with the pot. Off with the plastic. And as you can see, these two halves came together and made a wonderful pot. Now, I need to seal these edges together, and I am taking kind of the Reader's Digest quick version. If you were in my studio and taking the form-built potting class, I would take a little more time, but with television, I'm going to go through this very, very quickly. All right, let's pretend that worked. Ha ha, it did. Now, I'm going to take the fettling knife, and this has no edge and no point, so it's politically correct. And I am going to cut a hole in the top. Now, this is the same way that I made the pot over here on my right. And you may even notice later, when you look at the set, there's a couple, I think, of Green Men pot up above me. Now, this came right out. There's my pot. Was that slick or what? Now, as usual, the old school teacher in me, I'm going to go over to the blackboard here, explain to you what we're doing. Okay. We took the two pots and put them together. There's the lower half. There was the upper half. All right, see the two pots? And this was the center across here. Now I'm going to attempt to put a chicken head on this half and the chicken's tail on the back half. So what I'm going to need is a cone. Step one was the pot. Step two, I'm going to make a cone, a Christmas tree shape, and I'm going to bring it up here, bend it slightly forward, and that's going to be the head, all right? So next step is going to be a cone. The back over here, instead of a cone, that was a cone, C for cone. And over here, I'm going to make, number 3, a fan. And I'm going to connect the fan back over here, okay? Let's see if I can get that done in a skinny few minutes. All righty. How about we do the easier one first? I'm always into easy. All right. We cut the clay. I'm going to move the big chicken here. Let him roost up here. Chickens like to roost high. I found out that white chickens, and this is what the clay looks like after it's finished and fired, comes out white. White chickens lay white eggs. The off-color chickens lay the off-colored egg. Isn't that interesting? A couple other things. There's about as many chickens on this planet as there are people. Isn't that interesting? I thought so. The other thing, it takes a chicken about 24 to 28 hours to lay an egg. They can lay about 250 a year. And this is my favorite little piece of trivia when I was researching this. They used to clean chimneys by dropping a chicken down it. That's the funniest thing. Okay, sorry, I shouldn't have laughed. All right, here I've rolled out a slab of clay. All right, and I'm gonna cut this in what I call I said a fan, but I'm gonna cut it like an orange peel. Slice of orange. See this? That's pretty simple, right? Even men can do it, all right? Now, I'm going to use my fork, and I'm going to score the edges here, and I'm going to score the bottom edge here. I should have looked at time. I'm really, guys, I'm hoping I can do this. Scored it up, wet it. There's the chicken's, I don't know what's politically correct. I guess I could say chicken's, the north end of a southbound chicken is what I'm working on. I'm trying so hard to be politically correct, and I'm not good at it. I'm honest. I know it's a handicap. It's kept me out of politics and other federal jobs. So I tend to be honest and sincere. Not too admirable traits these days. So I tend to just speak simply. There we go. That's the south end of the northbound chicken. Now, using this broken stick here, I'm going to work it into the body. Now, there's many breeds of chickens. There's 7 different types of combs. That's the top part, sometimes called the cock on chickens. You know, there is an animal, this is not a joke, guys. They have crossbred turkeys and chickens, and they're called turchins. Done it a couple times, actually, because I think several politicians have done that too, but that's another story. All right, now, there is the chicken's butt, rear end. I don't know what is the correct word. I'm so incorrect and darn proud of it. Here we go. Now, I'm going to put a couple of notches in there. It'll make it seem more delicate. We all need that delicate rear end look. Here we go. This is the part that went over the fence last. How about that? Okay. I knew something would come to me. It was inspired. I'm an inspired kind of person. Well, you know what, guys? I know we're fighting the clock. We don't have enough time together, people. I enjoy this time we spend together. There, as you can see, is the rear end of the chicken. Now, this is the hard part. I'm going to do the whole head assembly. Now, what I'm going to do here is, using the same fettling knife, I'm going to cut a hole because I'm going to need the air to go up inside the neck. This is to let air in. So this chicken is going to be an airhead. No comment, please. All right. It's hollow inside. I'm going to score a little bit. Now, what I got to do is make a cone shape. Now, we're going to start in one place, and then we're going to alter the shape. And like I said, I quite often deal with young people, and they're very creative, and they'll tell me that what I'm doing isn't correct because they've imagined how it's going to look when I'm finished, and it's a process, you know, tadpole turning into a frog. And being a normal man in many ways, I can't start at the end. I have to start in the beginning. Now, here's my cone shape. I'm going to sit it down so it's flat on the bottom, and it is an ice cream cone, upside down TP, whatever words you like. And this is called the proctology stick. And what we do with it is we go right up the bottom, and you'll notice I'm turning it with my hand. That helps to kind of drill it in. Then I'm going to press on the stick here, and that's going to open this cone up. So it'll be hollow. And my most often completed phrase. It's about the thickness of a slice of white bread. Okay, now, I've scored this edge, and I have wet it down here. It'd be nice if I got this right the first time. You know, it's one thing when you really muck up and you're all by yourself in your studio at 2 o'clock in the morning, but now when, you know, there's thousands of people watching, I really don't want to mess up. This is too long, of course, and so I've got to change the angle. I could either cut this away, or I'm going to try to throw it down at a 45-degree angle and see if I can alter the shape. That's actually not too bad. I think I can get away with this. I've spent my whole life trying to figure out what I can get away with, and artists are good at this. You know, in art school, we spent a lovely semester trying to define the word art. You would think that would be simple. I think Webster Dictionary has over 200 definitions for that simple 3-letter word. And I remember some of them to this very day. Einstein said, "Great minds were trained to forget the insignificant." I, on the other hand, memorized trivia, so that may say something. One of the definitions that I like of art was what W.C. Fields said when he said, "Art is whatever you can get away with." That's led my whole life by those principles. You know, guys, I was concerned that I was not going to be able to get this done for you today, but can you believe how quickly this thing is shaping up? Well, as Alfred Lord Tennyson said, "My heart is pure, and that gives me the strength of 10 men." So that was an advantage that I've been using, of course. All right. Thomas Jefferson said about John Adams, if you turned his soul inside out, it would still be white. I think that could be said of me also. All right, now, I've got my basic shapes here, and as usual, back over here on the drawing board, if I can keep up with my pens and pencils. All right, we've made the pot shape, flat on the bottom so it won't fall over. We've got the tail worked in there a little bit. All right, we brought our cone up. A little nub here on the top is working back in. Now the details, of course, would be the beak. The thing that hangs down here is called the wattle, and the thing up on top is called the cone. All right, this is the wattle or waddell, depending on your accent, potato, potato. So we're going to work on those details now. All right. Now, one of the things that I like is the texture. You'll notice on the bird here, and perhaps I'll bring this one over so y'all can see it. It's got great texture. You'll notice the texture that we have put on the throat and the nice texture on the tail. All right, so I'm going to put a little bit of this texture. It'll help it to stiffen up. All right, so I'm going to work a little. The feathers on the throat are different than on the rest of the body. There's lots of different types of feathers. And strangely enough, this is giving it strength. Among other things, it's letting air into it. That's not too shabby at all. As I mentioned, W.C. Fields said one of the definitions for art was anything that you could get away with. All right? That's about the best definition I've come up with. All right, now I could either add the beak on by taking a separate amount of clay and adhering it on, or I can, here's another word for you, manipulate. That's alter states, alter this. And that's quite often what I was referring to earlier when I'm working with young students or people that are hyper and very creative. Whenever I'm doing something, they're imagining it in its finished state. If I'm trying to teach them how to bake a birthday cake, they're all holding lit matches to light the candles. And it's very hard for me to get them to slow down and do things in sequence. Here I go. I'm pulling out, and I'm pinching with these 2 fingers. Oh man, that just kicked. I got it right the first time. That was like getting married and everything. I just got it right the first time. All right, sometimes you're lucky. Right, there's my beak. Here are the holes so it can breathe. Take my favorite tool, and I was teasing a class the other day. I keep this pin in my vest. I'm like a gunfighter with this vest. I know right where my guns are. I know right where all of my tools are when I use this vest. And I keep this pin here. When I'm at art shows, I'll pull this pin for people to do credit cards and checks, and then I still use the same pin all day, and it works. All right. Now, if you've noticed, those of you that have tuned in faithfully to my other shows, we don't start with the eye, we start with the eye socket. Step 1, step 2, step 3. That's why I draw it on the board that way, because unless you're trained, most people, as I just made the bad joke, they want to light the candles before the cake goes in the oven, and you have to do this in sequence. A little bit of math, a little bit of left brain. All right. I am going to now hold my hand here so I can't, if I push and I don't give myself back pressure, I'll just knock it over. So I've got my hand here for support. I put my finger in, and then I push up and made a lovely eye socket. All right? Same thing on the other side. Again, as symmetrical as I possibly could. All right, not too shabby. We're kicking here, okay? Now I'm going to do the wattle, the part here. It's quite big, and again, it varies with the breed of chicken. There have been lots and lots of cross-breeding going on through the centuries, some natural and some man-made. A neat thing, I was just doing the research here a few minutes ago. Guys, I'm not making this up. I can't make up stuff this good. And I found out that the T-Rex, the ancient monster dinosaur, closest living relative is a chicken. Is it cool or what? Looking at chicken, I'm not thinking T-Rex. Okay, a little bit interesting. Now here comes the wattle, the part under the head here. Again, I repeat myself, I've rolled a mustache. I want 2 pieces the same size, so I'm going to take that. Hope you can see this. Cut it. These are my wattles. I'm going to make them dull and blunt on both ends. I'm not going to leave that square cut edge. I'm going to make sure both of them are round. Now, I quite often make very bad jokes. Don't argue, it's true. And people wonder why I make all the bad jokes. And most of the people that I'm dealing with, and I don't know why this is, they're more likely to remember when I say something stupid than when I say something smart. So I tried to hide the information within jokes. And so here when I say it, make sure it's dull and blunt on both ends, I say like a Baptist sermon. That somehow sticks in their mind. They remember to make it dull on both ends. Here we go. Throw it down at a 45-degree angle. Dull and blunt on both ends. I do the old 3-finger grip. You'll notice my hand is coming down to earth at a 45-degree angle. And the reason that is, there's a reason for everything I do. Not a good reason, but there is a reason. And the reason, if you throw it straight down, it's likely to stick. Splat, like a parachutist landing in a mud puddle. But if you throw it at a right angle, it'll open up and less likely to stick. There's some physics involved there, okay? And it didn't stick to the table. Now, I have a tool. I'll reach for it here. I think I saw that I brought it. It's not a very complicated tool, just a donut-type tool that I've poked a bunch of holes in. And if I roll it on there, it'll give me this really nice texture. Again, using water working like my glue. I put that wattle right under there. Ooh, I'm happy with it. Guys, this is working. This is working. You work it, girl. Work it, girl. Okay, here I go again. Having too much fun. Those new meds have kicked in, and this is going so well. Okay, there's the wattle. Now I'm going to go with the eyes, okay? I did read in trivia, and I didn't bore you with all the bad stuff. I'm boring enough, but the Chinese would, before weddings, would kill this chicken and weigh his eyes, and they had to weigh the same thing for people to be balanced. And they read the entrails and so forth. Chickens have been a big part of our culture and of our folklore. All right. Nice eyes. Now, what tools do I have? I don't have all my toys with me, so what tool can I make an eye with? I guess I'll have to use, my trusty rusty pen. I'll go there and make the pupil. A lot of animals, the chicken being one of them, The eyes do not come out the front of the head the way the headlights do on a sports car, side by side. They're out so they've got like a 180-degree vision, so they can see predators coming from all directions. Okay, there we go there. Now we have these two other pieces, which is another part of the wattle. It's a little smaller. Roll the ball again. Now, quite often I commented just recently, seems like I'm repeating myself a lot, but it's not unlike math. I mean, there's adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, and that's going to cover most of what you do, whether it be calculus or physics or whatever. So I'll do a lot of the same maneuvers, and rolling a ball and cutting it in two to get two equal parts is something that we do quite often. Now the colors will make these parts stand out, as will the textures. And sometimes just touching it a little bit here and there. Oh, that's looking good. I like that. I might give it little fat happy cheeks. Oh, the chicken pox was not named after the chicken. In Latin, it was gitchen pox, which means the itching sickness. But gitchen sound like chicken, so they called it chicken pox. Okay, there we go. Now the comb. And as I mentioned earlier, there are 7 distinctive styles of combs. And I like the one that's higher in the rear and comes down. So what I'm going to do now is, as usual, roll a small amount of clay, the old 3-fingered grab, and throw it down. Not too shabby. Okay, now on the smaller pieces here, I'm not going to score and slip because I will just weaken it. I wish I had more texture tools with me because there's a lot of texture in that comb. I wonder if I have another texture tool here in my magic. Aha! This toolbox here, I've been putting it together for 20 years. So I have all these wonderful texture tools. I've heard fishermen say that they would spend many, many years getting their fishing tackle box just right, the right ties and flies and weights and whatever. And to the untrained eye, it looks just like a rusty old box full of doodads and goofballs, but to the trained heart of the fisherman, it's exactly what he needs. And my toolbox is the same way. All right, nice comb on this guy. Okay, now it has the notches in it, so I'm going to put the notches in here. Here we go. They say that chickens will lay more eggs if you can fool them by keeping the room bright, so they think that it's sunlight. And again, they can lay an egg about every 24, 26 hours, about 10,000 in a, oh, about 8,000 in a lifetime. And of course, the old proverbial joke about which came first, the chicken or the egg. National survey, it was the #2 most favorite meal with the school children. Pizza being #1, but chicken nuggets being #2. Okay, I'm going to put little fat happy cheeks. Strangely enough, the rounding like that, oh man, that, you know, somebody made a joke about a friend of mine that's a gifted interior decorator. He saw my house and cried, so I knew he was gifted. And the joke was that he could throw a pillow and it would just land in the right place, you know, one of those people. And I don't have that gift. I could throw a sofa in my house, it wouldn't land in the right place. But sometimes you just put it on and it comes out right the first time. One of the things that my students are surprised, and I can't make up stuff this good, your mood is interpreted in your art. And quite often when you're very distressed, although the art is therapeutic, your work doesn't look very good because you're tense. I had a large studio at one time with hundreds of employees, and 2 of the things that we made most often were angels and witches. Big Halloween business. Halloween's the 2nd biggest gift buying season of the year, by the way. And When the ladies were in good moods, hello boys and girls, how are you? Loved your hair today, Susie. When they were in good moods, their witches were too sweet. And the other ladies, or my employees, when they were not in a good mood, and I said, if he ever did that again, I would just, and all of a sudden their pieces would get, their angels would get angry. So we would have to move the person, depending on their personality and the mood of the moment, to what they were working on. But I am in a good mood today, and this is coming along so good. Well, I have never done one this quickly before, and I was quite concerned I would get this started and not be able to finish it for you guys. Now, one of the last things I'm going to do is, this thing is very stiff, very proper, like a British accountant, you know. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little hitch in the giddy up. I'm going to give it a little movement. So watch this. I'm going to make my cock pot cocky, all right? I'm just going to turn that head. Give it a little angle there, right? And then I'm going to get a little switch in his giddy up, get that tail working. Now, you know where to take a chicken if he loses his tail, right? To a retail store. I'm full of information, and I just wanted to pass that on in case there was confusion. All right, I'm running low on time, so I'm going to leave this like this, and I want to show you the others too. Now, this will come out of the kiln. This is white earthenware clay. It's going to come out snow white. And you can tell when clay is fired because when you touch it, it has a little ring to it. That's got a little clunk to it. But this means it's been fired. And someone asked me recently, can this go outside in the weather? Yes, it can. One of the pots, and I had one here from a class that I had done earlier, and I confiscated this off my back deck. We just did the green man face. And if you look, you'll see the mold and so forth on the edges. This has been outside in the weather for years. It's fired clay, but the bricks in your house are fired clay, right? So they didn't hurt to leave those in. I don't think you bring all those bricks in at night, do you? So that answers your questions. Yes, this stuff can go outside. You'll notice inside this pot there are leaves and things where they've been sitting out there. Reach in here and see how I've got these lovely gumball trees in my yard. Okay. So yeah, these things can last outside in the weather. They are a lot of fun, whoa, to paint. There we go. Now, this is another wonderful thing I can show you right quick. I know I only have about a minute or so left. You notice the size different, and of course I'd made some jokes earlier about size mattering and so forth. All right. The pots that I used to make these were exactly the same pot. So this is the first time I've been able to show you guys the about 10 to 15% shrink rate between leather hard clay and fired clay. So there you can see it. Okay, with the last little bit of time that we have, we will go back over to the board and review. Step one was to put the two pots together to get our basic shape. Step two was a cone up here that we added the beak and feathers to. And then the tail back here, we worked it in with texture. We cut the hole in the middle so we would be able to put flowers and so forth. Okay, that's all the time that we have for this week's, guys. Here we are with our chicken pots and our cock pots. I'll have to take these back home and plant flowers in them, but you'll notice I was using this one for my tools. They're handy little items to have around. Okay, we'll see you next week, guys. Thank you. Be nice. See you later.